That's right back, Charlie. That's right.
People deluded. I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on. By popular demand, the fans then were saying, get Cecil back, get Cecil back, get Cecil back. What the people want, the people get. People deluded. I'm back again. I'm here with my good mate Cecil. He's in the building as usual. Large up yourself for tuning in, my guy. You selling me, bro? You good?
I'm good. It's good to be back. And by popular, I didn't even know that, bro. What people were asking
for they've been on to me. They're like, get Cecil back, get Cecil back. I'm like, the man's busy. He's flying up and down the country doing AFTV things. I will try for you lot, man. But yeah, man, we got what we needed to, people. So yeah, smash the like button as well, man. You lot called for the guy to be back. He's back, innit?
Yeah, man, I'm just I'm recovering from, well, not just a result, but obviously, yeah, just getting back from Germany yesterday. Just obviously after the game, for everyone, for context, after the match finishes now. Obviously we've lost. We'll do fan cams. Fan cams take between 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So we're doing that in Germany. It's cold, it's wet, and then to save money, obviously we flew from Frankfurt. So the game must have finished now. The game must have finished. It's 9 p.m. there. Obviously, it's an hour in front, so it's 9 p.m. there.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so the game 2 hours after, that's 11 p.m. By the time we finish fan cams, it's about 12:30 to 1 a.m. It's about 12:30. Let's say it's 12:30. We got to drive back to Frankfurt, which is 4 hours away. We drive to Frankfurt 4 hours. So then we get to Frankfurt airport around, I'll be honest, we stopped for petrol, so around 5 a.m. Our flight's at 6:30. So for everyone that doesn't know, we had to get in quickly, put the bags in, jump straight. We checked in and then jumped straight on the flight and then landed back in the UK about 7:30 around that. And then I was mash up and then I had to go straight home. And yeah, man, home, and I had to do a few bits. So I was like running on empty. So today, obviously, shout out to Ludi when he messaged me. I'll be honest, I'll keep it real. I think like last time, I only just woke up. I woke up this morning because I washed machine being fit, but then I went back to sleep. And then, yeah, man.
Mad thing. As I said last time, I respect it, man. That's why I like to let you, like, when I bring you on my channel, I kind of try and space it out. But as I said, they're on to me, especially, unfortunately, because of what happened at Arsenal, with Arsenal. Obviously, you touched on it now. We know the obvious, you know, the Bayern Munich game. What was it like being in the stadium before we get into the result and things? Because obviously, I'm watching it on TV. You're in the stadium. What did you make of the game from that regards? And how did it feel going into the game and obviously after?
There's a lot there. Going into the game, I was... I'll be real. I didn't think we was going to go through. Sorry to
no one did, really.
You know,
blind optimism.
And normally I'm the positive one, but me and Lee Judges, I think, were the ones that were quite pessimistic before the game. However, when we got there, which you'll see in the previews if anyone watches it, obviously AFTV, I say like I am changing my mood, but it wasn't massively. It was we get onto penalties, we get it through in a draw, and we go in penalties and we go through. But before that, I was like, we didn't take our opportunity at the Emirates. I was at the Emirates.
Facts. Sold
out Emirates Stadium, 65. It was loud. And like, you have the advantage there. You have the advantage, and fair play to Bayern. As much as they haven't had a good season in the league.
It's still Bayern.
Yeah. They stepped up in that Champions League game. And it is Bayern Munich. Like you said, there's good players there. And we didn't take advantage of that. Everyone said, 2 clear goals. Even just a 1 clear goal would have been for me enough. But we didn't get 2 clear goals, ended up with a draw. So when we got to Bayern, it was a tough ask. And when I got there, the stadium is phenomenal, bro.
It's a mad thing, yeah.
Oh yeah, like it's phenomenal. Like you walk in there, 75,000, by the way, and it was
German fans are mad,
mental, bro, mental. I've got a video I put on my TikTok. It's crazy. Like
check that out, folks.
They've got like fireworks there. They've got obviously we had our flares and that, but they had like fireworks.
You're gonna be dwarfed in a stadium like that, though.
Completely bouncing their flag. It was mental. So I was taking it all in. And I'm sure so was some of the players, especially in that level. It's quarterfinals with Champions League. It's a big game. So, but we didn't capitalize. And fair play to Arsenal, though. They held their own, bro. Like we dominated in patches. Yes, obviously, you can see possession for quite a bit at times. You're at Bayern's home ground, but we dominated in patches. and you know they got their goal and they shut up shop and we couldn't break them down. It was an amazing game to watch. It's a shame we didn't go through because I thought, you know, that'd be such a big achievement for Arsenal. Don't get me wrong, getting to the quarterfinals, I saw what Arsenal posted. Proud of our Champions League journey, I think it said. But like, listen, it's a big ask. It's a big. No one expected, and I'm one of those. No one expected to win the Champions League in the first season being back in 7 years. I didn't. I said semis would be amazing. Quarters is still a massive achievement. We got there, and we didn't get battered. That's the one thing. It's not like
we didn't get embarrassed.
Exactly. If we did that, then don't get me wrong. My Premier League ambitions are quite. I'm quite nervous for those because of obviously.
Hold them thoughts, man. We're gonna get into the Premier League.
But like the Champions League, we didn't get battered. We showed our own. We held our own, and I was proud of the boys. I was proud of Mikel and that, and yeah, it was nice to be back to Bayern Munich and not be battered. Like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, man, it was good.
So why was you pessimistic going in? A bit of a twofold question. Why was you pessimistic going into the game? And because you touched on it, you like the fans and the fans and the dwarfing us and stuff. Do you think the nerves played a part, home and away, for our boys? Because I can't lie, against Porto away, I would say at the Emirates with Porto at home, and the 2 games against Bayern, looks like there's psychological issues beyond anything for me. But where are you at with that?
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of people saying that. They say, yeah, it's like a mental battle. It's the lack of experience for our team against a team, you know, they've got heritage in this competition in Champions League. For me, I think that it does play a part, but I don't think the players underestimated Bayern, though. I don't think as much as, like, I think when it was at home, they didn't underestimate them. I just think Thomas Tuchel and Bayern, they got their game plan spot on. They sat back, they defended well, and they caught us on the counter. I think Leroy Sané was superb in that home leg. And obviously he was quality, and obviously they got a penalty as well. So from Gnabry, I just, and that's not something that that's not underestimating Bayern. That's just they had good players, and we just didn't capitalize. It might be the fact that, you know, it's different to the Premier League 100%. The Champions 100%. League, so they might have misinterpreted that and thought, oof, this is the big leagues, this is the big stage, and Bayern are showing more than we expected. Obviously, like I mentioned, they weren't doing well in their league. Bayer Leverkusen obviously went and done it, but it's not a bad Bayern Munich we played against. I think I was looking at stats, players, bro. Yeah, I was looking at stats as well. I think this morning and saying like Bayern Munich, they won the league in the last, I think, 3 leagues with more points than that they had this season. It's just the fact that Bayer Leverkusen just had a freak season where they've gone unbeaten at the moment, undefeated. So it's not like exactly. It's not like they're not hitting the levels that they've hit before Bayern Munich. So they are still a good side. This narrative of you're playing a bad Bayern Munich side is balls. Yeah, maybe the fact that Eric Dyer's in there, but that doesn't change anything. Like I said, they've got more points than they've had in the previous season, so they're still Bayern Munich. I just don't think we capitalize because I don't know. Yeah, again, it might be in a mental thing of just, oh, this is different to what we've expected of late. Of late, it's been going to Premier League games and walking over teams. Obviously, bar Aston Villa, especially in the start of 2024. But yeah, man, that was it. It's a lesson, and it hurts me. It does hurt me to do that fact, like, when man speaks, and I know we're going to get to this as well later, like they're questioning Mikel Arteta and all that, but people are saying lack of experience is probably why we went out. But then this is another experience of why we should be going ahead in the next time we get in this competition and maybe going a bit further. So it's hard. You can't say lack of experience and not have the experience of being there. It's the first time back in the Champions League.
You have to get burned by the fire to know the danger, sort of thing.
Word, bro. Like, you have to have that experience. And when we get to the league, the lack of experience of what happened last season, not getting through it, may get us over the line this season. Big ask. I know that. But it's experience that we're going through that hopefully will better us for the next time. So that's kind of my thoughts on that, brother.
It's a bit of a weird one because I agree with you in the sense of, you know, first thing, we didn't get battered. Normally Arsenal versus Bayern Munich, you know, I don't want to trigger negative memories, but they hit us for cricket scores. And obviously, you know, you want to win it. You don't necessarily want to compete, but you need to be realistic. In our first year getting back, quarterfinals, there's no shame. And there's almost a bit of optimism because, as take nothing away from Bayern Munich, you know, you give them inches, they take yards. That is the levels. I think, you know, we kind of did it to ourselves, if that makes sense. Whether we talk about, you know, Martinelli not taking his chance at Germany, whether you talk about Benjamin White, the naiveties defensively, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. I do think there were some psychological issues, but they were minimal. And I want to get your thoughts because I think Arteta has shown and the boys have shown they can kind of go toe to toe. Like, statistically, you know, there's not much in it. But But when I think of the Champions League, bro, I think of fine margins. I think you need those fine margins to go with for you. Like you saw, obviously, with Kimmich scoring, you saw at our place where we didn't really give them much, but they created something out of nothing.
Yeah.
For you, how much does individual brilliance play a part in the Champions League? And do you feel our squad is missing that for the talent we have? Because that's a conversation that's flowing, and I'm sure you hear it within our Arsenal fan base, man.
100%, and again, I don't really go on many podcasts. I don't really speak many. You don't really get the presenter's opinion. That's why it's always nice coming in.
That's why we got you here, man. Big up yourself.
Yeah, big up the community as well. That's asking me back because you want me to be real,
bro.
I'm annoyed at certain players for not stepping
up. Names, man. We want to hear everything. Like it's not a scapegoat thing, but names, bro. Same way if we won, we'd be gassing all of them.
100%. It's not a scapegoating thing. Of course, it's not. It's not like we'll start with Havertz, and I haven't always been the biggest fan of Havertz, but it's not an agenda because I've also given him his flowers and said, you know
gave
what?
Him his flowers last time you said.
Exactly. He's contributed to this season. I can't take away from that. So big him up. But you're the highest paid player, 65 million. I need you to show a bit more in the big games. It's all well and good, I have seen you win games as well for Arsenal, but these are the games where you're being paid the most money. I need you to really rise and step up. I didn't really see much from him in both Bayern Munich games, if I'm honest. Another one, let me make this clear. Saka is my favorite player at Arsenal, but I've been so let down and so disappointed by him. Listen, his numbers are crazy. I understand it. There's been world-class conversations and all of that. I've actually been a part of the season. I was the one championing the fact that, I think he is world-class. Now, I have to be honest, it may be flip-flopping, but to me, he's not. A lot of the players that I've considered, I have to reconsider because you're not to that level. These are the games where I think you earn the status of world-class. These are the times where I look at you and think, rise, Saka, like, we're looking
do what Vinicius and Rodrigo and them man do.
Right. And don't get me twisted. You've put Arsenal on your back before, but now I really need you to do it, and you haven't done it. And there's obviously the narrative of him limping off. I've seen so much.
No, that's jarring, man.
It's annoying.
Social media is mad.
It's crazy, and it's a stupid narrative. However, but it does frustrate me when I see it. And do you know what? That's not to his detriment, by the way. That's the fact that you probably are overplayed. You probably are injured. I have heard you mention that you are injured, but I also look at Mikel Arteta when it comes to that, and people will say to me, "Yeah, but who can you play instead of Saka? You can't." But I believe that's a narrative. But I think you must be able to find someone, especially if you're injured, to replace him. Rest him if you need to. Like, I know he puts numbers on the board, but if I'm honest, it has been a while since those numbers have shown. He scored a great goal against Bayern, so fair play to him. But I need you to really step up in those games. We're looking for match winners in those games. We're looking for stars, like you said. Bayern, they've got the experience of having them people that can grab the game by the scruff of their neck. I've seen City do it as well. Granted, City went out at the same time as us, so there's
even
no
Real Madrid did it as well yesterday.
Exactly.
Well, in the Champions.
Well, yeah, the other day, yeah, exactly. So I do need that, and Saka's the one I'm looking at mainly for that, because he gets so much praise, and because we all love him and you're star boy. I do look at you for those situations. So that one does hurt me. It really does, and it's hard to just say let's go buy a match winner. Obviously, people are talking about strikers, but that is something that I believe we have in the team. They just need to understand that and really take the game by the scruff of the neck. However, there might be a situation where Mikel Arteta has them so trained systematically that it may not allow for that.
I wanted to ask you on that as well. That's a good point, because it feels a bit disingenuous for me to say, because like, I know he's not doing it now, and I'm sure you'll mention him, but Martinelli,
he was the next one. Yeah,
exactly. Like he got 15 league goals last year. Saka, as you said, he's putting up numbers year in, year out. Trossard, when he comes in, does his thing, and generally we've scored a lot of goals. So it sounds a bit disingenuous, but a conversation is being said. A bit of a twofold question for you. A lot of people are saying maybe our wingers are overcoached. They're doing a lot of defending, and also, do you think the fan base has turned on Saka before we get on to Gabriel Martinelli? Because someone asked me to ask you that as well.
Oh, I don't think. Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know because I'm not crazy. No, I speak to fans every day, but online I don't know what the narrative on Saka is. I think obviously I've seen a lot of the limping stuff, but for me, I feel like I was probably being very critical on him. I mentioned it. You can watch the player range, you can watch stuff on AFTV. I said people will see that I'm very much on Saka, but that's because
he set high standards.
Yeah, that's it. My best players, I'm very harsh on, and I criticize. Yeah, because you've done it. You've been here. You've put Arsenal on your back before. You even put the international side. You put England on your back.
Against Munich, as you said in the first leg.
Exactly, bro. So I expect high standards. When I was playing, I was one. When I was at Crawley, when I was at the pro clubs I've been at, I had a lot of heat on me. My manager was on me because he was like, bro, I expect so much from you. You're supposed
Especially
to
because you're an attacker as well. Being a fullback, not really, but yeah, man, that's your thing.
For me as an attacker, like, and I am a showman. This is what I am, that sort of player. I want that pressure. I believe I played better under pressure as well. And I feel that's the same for a lot of the players that I look to. So that's why I put the pressure on him. So for me, yes, I criticize him heavily. I don't know if the whole fan base narrative is that, but I do that. Whether other fans do, fair enough, or not. When I speak to Robbie Lee and all that, Robbie canes me every time I criticize Saka overly, and you'll see in the ratings. I think there's a bit of a bias there where we lean towards, because of what he's done in the past, we lean towards giving him better ratings. But
yeah, he does get a bit of a blind in comparison to other players.
Yeah, of course he does. I think he does because he's star boy. But I can't have that. I'll be honest.
We've got to preach equality, man.
Yeah, exactly. I can't, because then I'm just disingenuous to other players. Like I can't be harsh on Havertz and not be harsh on Saka, because it doesn't make sense. Same with Martinelli. Martinelli's one, bro. His top is on my wall, signed there. Brother.
It's like, Nelly, bro. How can you not love Nelly? I know he's one that frustrates fans, but he's amazing for me anyway.
I love that brother. Like I do. Saka's my favorite player, but Martinelli is literally this close. Like,
yeah,
it's not a joke. I love Martinelli. So, but I've got to be real and say he's not hitting the levels that he hit last season. But I think there is bias when I say this. I do think it is affected by, again, maybe it's systems from Mikel Arteta and tactics, because I haven't seen Martinelli push it and run past the player all season. I've seen him
to see him behind either.
Yeah, I haven't seen him do that, going behind, being the outlet where they're pushing it over the top, where there's definitely chances where you can clip it in behind for Martinelli. He's the fastest, I think, in the side, in that front line, sorry. And we don't use that. And it actually works when we go in beyond, because I've seen him do it for Havertz and us break teams down doing it. But we don't do it for Martinelli.
Against Newcastle, if I remember correctly.
Right. So I just don't think we do it enough for Martinelli, which again is systems. And on top of that as well, Martinelli gets rotated. Saka doesn't. That's the truth of it. Trossard, and that's not taken away from Trossard. Trossard, when he's off the bench, when he impacts the game from off the bench, he is superb. I think he has a record for the highest amount of
really, it sounds disingenuous, but he really is a super sub with the greatest respect to Trossard.
That's it. And you know what? That's not a bad thing.
It's not
in
a bad
this
thing.
day and age, yeah. The way City rotate, and you never know who's going to start or come off the bench, or you never know if City's first 11, because Pep's so good at rotating.
Yeah. FPL managers know that as well. You don't know who City's going with.
Exactly. You don't know how to defend against it. Being an impact player is not a bad thing. And I think the players do kind of buy into that as well. I don't think there's too much egos when they're on their bench, but Trossard is a super sub. And back in the day, that used to be the worst thing you could be labeled. But I genuinely believe, like right now, when you're going for a title and we're out the Champions League now, but you're in the Champions League, like you have to understand it's a squad game. Like everyone has to be on board with what the manager's thinking. Everyone has to be on board and aligned. Exactly. It's for the team. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think you got to understand that. So it's a shame that, I don't know, I think the narrative came where, let's try Trossard starting because he's been so good off the bench, but it hasn't worked. So just stick to what we know. Yeah, we need more from Martinelli, but once you're aligned in the thought process of give me what you did last season, Saka and Martinelli, just run at them, have a little bit more freedom, and then we'll bring in, if it's not working, we'll bring in the plan Bs, the Trossards and all that. Then it might align a bit better. But yeah, man, I think there is criticism. And from our fan base, you know how it is. It's going to feel more because, one, we're a big fan base. Two, we do swing left to right drastically.
When we win, these men are amazing. When we lose, sell them all, man. It's crazy.
Exactly. And if I'm honest, that does frustrate me
100%
as an Arsenal fan, but that is what we are at times. So
it's the belly of the beast.
Yeah. So they will get criticized. Some will say fairly, some will say unfairly. So yeah, man. But we expect the big players to stand up, because that's what we need. And the reason why it'll feel so much more louder and more intense is because look at us as Arsenal fans, bro. Look, we missed out on top 4 not too long ago. We missed out on the league last season. And it feels like we're going through it again. So everyone's expectations and pressure is at the top. So That's why, man. That's why.
We can't not speak about Gabriel Jesus. I love him. I think he's one where you look at social media, everyone's catching corn, but he's one that I think people are quite disrespectful on. But at the same time, he's got like 4 goals. I know he's had injuries, but he's not doing nothing really. You know, I actually feel we're carrying all our attackers. I don't know what that's down to. You know, April, it seems like we always run out of steam. Maybe because we've got a tiny squad, we've overplayed players, and you know they're kind of overperforming and a bit tired. But it feels like we're carrying too many attackers. Like at the moment, you know, I think only Odegaard in the final third's really doing their thing. But we can't talk about Havertz, Martinelli, and Saka and not discuss Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it on the time last time I was on, but we're growing past these players. We're growing past them. Jesus and Zinchenko are the ones that I'm highlighting the most in this because they came. I don't know if I said it last time I was on your channel, but when they came to Arsenal, they were transformational.
They're a breath of fresh air, really.
Yeah, they were transformative for this team. Let's be real. Playing out from Zinchenko, dropping into midfield and all of that, and doing that sort of left back inverted style with Jesus, who had his Brazilian flair, the street baller, which for me, love it. That's me. I love it.
You can't not love it. Joga Bonito style.
Exactly. So for me, that last season, incredible. However, this team moves on quickly. We grow. We can grow past these. We can outgrow these players. Ramsdale's a prime example. I thought Mikel Arteta was mad bringing in Raya. I still don't think the disparities are massive between them.
Raya's positioning in the last 3 games is a bit shaky, but that's for another stream.
That's for another stream to talk about. However, there's been moments this season where I've gone to watch Arsenal and Raya's in goal, and I felt so comfortable where I know if Ramsdale was in goal, small margins, I'd feel a little bit more. You'd see more big saves from Ramsdale, but that might be because there's less comfortability and less confidence in that goalkeeper behind the back line. But those are small margins that Mikel Arteta is obviously identified and said, look, we need to go to the next level in this situation in bringing in David Raya. That's how I think about Zinchenko and Jesus, especially Jesus. I just feel like we were growing past them. And it's evident as well. You can see it in the discourse online. We need a striker. We need a striker. We need a striker. When Jesus was so good for us last season, everyone always speaks about we need a striker. So I think we need to look past him. And then again, I've got to be consistent in what I speak about. I think we've gone past Thomas Partey because of his injury record. I can't rely on him. Jesus, I can't say that about Thomas Partey and not say that about Jesus. Granted, Thomas Partey's injury record is worse, but Jesus isn't far off from that. So we're going past him. And these are things I've mentioned before. So I'm going to add something a little bit. I'm going to add something different I've noticed as well.
Man, this is why you're here. Talk your truth, man.
Jesus is again a player that I love to watch on the eye. Incredible. We saw the chops against Bayern, and I said, "Yo, I've missed this." However, when we were without him and we were smashing teams, there was this is me being too very picky. We were playing with such speed. There's a thing of like we get from defense to attack so quickly, and we finished off that phase of play very quickly. Yeah, it's very much like get it to the wide players, get it in straight, one touch finish, bang. When Jesus is in the side, and my argument's only a little bit flawed because of what he did against Bayern. He set off to Trossard by doing those chops, but those extra touches that he has sometimes slows down the play and allows the team to get into position and allows us to miss the opportunity for the goal. It's a very nitpicky, but before he was in the side, you see us get into that attack very quickly and finish off very quickly. Now he's in the side at times. It's an extra touch which can make you see like chop the player and create a space, but that space then can be filled by another defender.
Can be closed down and whatnot as well.
So it's very small, but I just feel like we do need to move on from these players, and I love these players. I love all these players, but I've got to be real. I have to be real, and this is what I'm seeing on the eye. But Jesus, since he's come back, hasn't set the world alight. I think the knee injury has affected him as well. Let's not forget that as well. It maybe
lost his explosiveness to a degree,
and his speed before that knee
which
injury,
is central to him.
Yeah. Before that knee injury, he was quick. But I know I've never had a major knee injury. I've got a knee problem right now, but I know it does affect you, and it's long term. It never leaves you.
Painful as hell.
Exactly, and it stays with you as much as. And he mentioned it. It's not just me saying it. He says he plays in pain as well. So that's on your mind. That affects your game. Like that's
psychologically as well. And even people forget, even standing hurts, you know. And when you're planting your foot and you're turning and all these things, it puts a lot of weight on your knee. It's not an excuse because you should still be able to play. But to be fair to Jesus, it does play a part.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take away from what he's done for this Arsenal side. I love him, bro. Like my welcome video is one of my biggest moments at AFTV, welcoming him, Gabriel Jesus. That brought me and Edu close together. Like, I get to message him because of that reason, because of that welcome video. So, and that's just me personally on reason why I like him so much. But I have to look. This is Arsenal Football Club, and I want the best for the club. And I feel like it's time now to look past him and move on and look for maybe two options. I think might need a right winger and a striker. But yeah, man, Gabriel Jesus is a shame, but what he's done for Arsenal has been superb. But it's time to move forward, man.
I think you're bang on the money. For me, with Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus, I'm open to keeping Jesus as part of the squad. I don't think he's reliable, so you're part of the squad. If you play, you get back to your fitness, well in. I wouldn't move him on or do anything like that. I'm more likely to move on Zinchenko, but I agree in that. I do think sometimes we need to accept players for what they are. I do think we're guilty of taking squad players and making them first team regulars and stuff like that. Generally, they do all right. But once you get to a point like the nitty gritty part of this season, ultimately, you know, you either get as much water, as much blood from a stone as you potentially can, or they're just not levels. And while I like the romance of, you know, Zinchenko, Jesus, Kai Havertz, and they're all doing well, to get a league title over the line or a Champions League, it's ugly, it's gritty, it's nitty, and ultimately you see the level. So it makes me look at Arteta, and it kind of moves on this conversation. Go on, bro. Before
I was just gonna say it's interesting because if we sell Eddie Nketiah, for instance, and we keep Jesus, I'm not angry at that because listen, it's a striker in Eddie Nketiah that's moving on. Get a good fee for him. You keep the second, you make Jesus a second striker, which he kind of really is now anyway, because Havertz.
He is essentially a versatile squad player.
He is, but but the thing is, and it's important that the players are happy with that. That's the thing I spoke about. Squad is so key.
You got to accept it if you're not levels. I can't lie.
Exactly, but he was a squad player at Man City. Was he happy with that? I don't know. When he came to Arsenal, I know he was told that, you know, you're going to be the guy, the main striker.
And you was the guy because you earned that right. But now you're not the guy. Like, it's not Gabriel Jesus FC or Havertz FC or anyone really. Even, you know, big up Saka and Martinelli. But there should be another winger to put pressure on their spots, which Nelson can't do. Obviously, big up Trossard. But clearly, based on the number of starts for whatever reason and form, Arteta doesn't really, it's not like he doesn't rate Trossard, but them men are ahead of him.
Yeah, well, that's it. It just depends if he's, which some will just say be ruthless, get rid of him. But if he's happy to be the number 2 or third striker and understand that it's a squad game, which Arteta does, he rotates regularly enough, then keep Jesus and move, I'd say move on Eddie. So yeah, but that's in the summer. That's something that we need to look at going forward. But I just wanted to mention that as long as he's happy, because that's what he was at City, and you know, he got really upset when I suppose Pep did a madness pay.
He cried. I think I don't talk about when he's crying and that.
Exactly. So yeah, but that's how football is. That's just the harsh realities. But yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Like you said, it's the harsh reality. Football's ruthless. It's what you're doing now, not necessarily what you've done. And the more Arsenal keep ticking over, and I always say it's like seeing a girl at a bar where if we look at the Premier Champs, we're flirting, we're getting numbers, they're saying let's go back, but we never end up clarting. So I'm kind of tired of that, really and truly, to be honest. It's jarring. Like, there's only so much of that you could do. I can't get onto the players and not get onto Arteta. Now, I have Arteta down as a meticulous planner, someone learns from hindsight, incredible foresight. And I do think he's assembled the squad well, in line of challenging for titles and putting some respect on our name in the champs. And I won't say we're the envy of Europe, but there is many things to admire generally about our club. That being said, though, I always question my own logic, because I feel like the last few years we're saying the same things. We run certain players into the ground. I don't want to say we haven't coped with injuries, because we have from August, but when it gets to crunch time, we run players into the ground. We struggle to cope with injuries. We're talking about identifying the same positions. And ultimately, when you look at games like Bayern Munich, we don't have the individual brilliance. We don't really have a good goal scorer. The midfield is kind of open. You've got Partey on the bench. For whatever reason, he's not coming on. So how do you look at Arteta assembling the side? Because one comment he made a few months ago is like, we've got one of the thinnest squads in the league. And that stuck with me, because we're still playing the same 13, 14, 15 players. And it's another season where I know we've had bumps on the road before, but we get to April, the crunch time in the season, and it's like players are running out of steam.
This is a question that I was probably trying to avoid a lot of the times when it's actually been a few months. I remember I went on DR Sports and it rattled me. There's a clip of me getting rattled because people were asking about Mikel Arteta and how long do you give him to? You have to start questioning him because he keeps.
That's a question I've got for you as well. Like, somebody asked me to ask you that.
Because it does rattle me, because for me, I am team Mikel Arteta, and I think it's outrageous with what we saw online with people saying, you know, Arteta out and we need to bring in a new manager. However,
how do you feel about that as well, man? Why you do?
Bro, I think it's ridiculous, brother. It's absolutely ridiculous, and that might be me personally. And people will say, "Oh, but your standards might be on the floor," and what. But I'm like, brother, like what he inherited, the Arsenal side he inherited, and what he's changed, and the love I have for the club. I've always had love for the club, but how much I enjoy now going to football and the football we play and
Pride
the style
again.
we play, and yeah, everything about the club now. I'm so pleased to see. But Deluded, you did mention something there as well, and I've had that same thing of like, oh, like the same period in the season, and things start to capitulate. And
You're
it's
too
like,
smart not to see this, Arteta.
bro,
So what's going on?
This is it. This is it. So like, I have to question it. I'm not a completely blinded fan and say, look, we're seeing things of what we've seen in the past in the reign of Mikel Arteta, but I do think the positives overweigh the negatives, and
Right.
we're gonna get into it in depth. But like, again, we came in the Champions League, and no one was expected. I was never expected to see Arsenal.
I was screaming last 16. I know that's very standard, but I was screaming, just get out the lot, get into the last 16. I'm kind of cool with it. Not that I don't want to aspire to more, but we've been here before, and it's not always been positive.
Exactly, and we went out the same time as Pep Guardiola this season. So let's make it right. Like, there's no English club now in the Champions League, and
Against one of the favourites of the competition, regardless of what people have to say.
exactly, and that was an Arteta side, and like it took these managers a long time for them to win a Champions League trophy as well. Pep, only won one at City, so like, and we're expecting fans were expecting Arteta to win it in his first season. Let's be real here.
It's never gonna happen.
Of course, things have fallen apart at the same stage, and it's a big ask to win the Premier League now. At the same time, many a times the drop off when we were going for top four, and then obviously last season got going for the league, 238 days or 40 days on top of the Premier League and bottle it. Some would say it is a repeated theme, and I can't ignore that. But again, like many other managers I've seen go to other clubs and fail, like and I can't ignore that. I cannot ignore that and expect like, things are going to change straight away. Arteta talks about a 5-year plan. This is the fourth, I think it's the fourth year and a 5-step plan, and this is the fourth phase. Do we give him the 5th phase and wait that extra season? Because I feel like you're right, the squad is thin, and he did say that, but we're going off a lot of the players that we're relying on are the academy players that have been there from day, and they've got us to a level with the squad, the first team players that we've got. Maybe the 5th phase is moving on those academy players and bringing in the ones that get it over the line. Yes, I'm giving him
Creme
more
de la
time.
creme.
Yeah, the creme de la creme, the top ones that, when you look
the
at
same ilk of Declan Rice and whatnot.
Exactly, because when you look at the City team, you see like for like when players you see like the Bruyne's on the bench, the Haalands, the Alvarez's, the Fodens at times, the players that have really got quality and Bernardo, they got quality and established. So maybe that is the last final phase, and that does get us over the line, and we have to wait and see. But I'm giving Arteta time. I believe in him. It's his first managerial job. Look what he's done. Like, I know fans, brother, from other teams that are so jealous. They have admitted it, but off camera, they are jealous of Mikel. They're jealous of this Arsenal team because of Mikel Arteta. They have an identity. They have a style of play. They have a,
manager learns quickly as well.
Yeah, we have players that are on the cusp of world class, and not just one. There's many in this Arsenal team that are on the cusp.
Saliba, Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, the list goes on. Maybe even Gabriel as well.
This is what I'm saying. They're in these conversations. They're in the team of the seasons. They're in the team of the years. They're in all of this. And other teams with other managers, their fans are dying for that. So let's just take a step back and take a deep breath, because it does really annoy me. And I got clipped on it really badly because I haven't got the day or the time frame that I'm going to give Mikel Arteta. I really don't, because I haven't thought that far ahead. I take, season by season. Yeah, I think the conversation can be had at the end of the season, maybe, but I probably will be with Mikel Arteta and saying, let's just slow down, because I've mentioned it before. I'm a fan that likes a club that sticks with a manager, not a club that just chops and changes. I hated that. There was a period of that after COVID where we saw that from so many teams, so many.
It doesn't necessarily keeping a manager doesn't guarantee anything, but staying with a manager, chopping and changing doesn't change things. Unless you do the Chelsea thing of old, where you gamble so many times you're going to get it right. And I'm not saying this just to keep Mikel Arteta, but there is something said for stability. As much as I want new players, you see Benjamin White and Saka and Odegaard, all the relationships are building on the field. The only thing I would personally say with Arteta, I do feel we shoot ourselves in the foot. For as good as you've been and you learn and we're getting better, I think we shoot ourselves in the foot with probably not addressing midfield in the summer, with having a small squad, as we said, and probably just needing to marry it with a bit more quality. Even I look back in this January, where he said we've got one of the finished squads. Why has there been no money? I don't want to diss Havertz, because as you said, he's doing his thing. But in the summer, was it worth going and getting that long-term Declan Rice partner to go, you know, in what Partey would have been if he was fit? I don't know. That's the thing. I think we could be our own best friends or worst enemies. I think with Arteta, though, the conversation for me is slowly but surely starting to shift to, can you get one over the line? I do think, and you see it because you interview fans all day, every day. I think there's too much hyper opinions. I think there's some people that, you know, we've had our first defeat in 2024 in the league against Villa. They've been waiting to scream the Mikel Arteta out stuff. And I do think I'm not talking about the people that like Arteta. I'm talking about Arteta sexuals, where he could poo in his hands and clap. People would say that's innovative and whatnot. And I think both are intellectually dishonest, if I'm honest. I think I'm in the middle. I think there's more reasons to keep Arteta. That doesn't mean he's going to be a success. If you could show me the next Pep Guardiola or someone that does what Arteta does, but they're a bit more street smart and take us to the next level, I don't support Arteta beyond managing the club. So I would want that for Arsenal Football Club. And again, I'm not saying keeping it means we're going to succeed or anything like that, but I do think he's shown me evident areas of concern, but I think there's more reasons to persist with him. Now, as you said, end of the season, we can talk.
Yeah, now, sorry, people that are watching this, because me and Deluded, I think we're similar. We are similar. When the way you
have to be, bro.
We're very similar, because I'm in the middle, and I'm going to give you, because I've done the Mikel Arteta fan club talk there. However, there was many questions, bro. He put Partey right back at the start of the season. What
mad stuff?
On stupidness didn't work.
Drop Gabriel as well.
Exactly. I was coming to that. I was like, see, this we see it. Like, he went to Partey right back, mad thing, didn't work. Maybe that was trying to do something innovative, didn't work. Then he dropped Gabriel, which luckily, as times I'm in the box, I sit next to his family and his missus and all that in that box, and I was asking them, and this when he was dropped the time, what is going on? All they said, he's fine, he's okay, like he's ready to play. That was it.
See, I thought it was a thing where with that, before you carry on, I thought, obviously, like you said, Arteta's a madman, he does mad things, but I thought the only reason you dropped Gabriel, his head must have been turned. Them times he's linked with Saudi, couple other clubs. But boy, if it's purely a footballing reason, I don't know. Especially if he's fit, I don't know. Especially with what he's gone on to do.
That's it. And obviously, I'm only hearing one side of the story, and of course, they're going to be biased. It's his family, his friends, and that. But like, the way they said it, I was like, okay, he must be fine. I don't think it was a turn on the head thing. So that was, again, a mistake for Mikel Arteta, in my opinion. There's been many things dropping out of European competitions easily, like, not easily, because we got to quarterfinals, but we have dropped out in the latter stages, and it's frustrating as a fan. We need to see it get over the line. Now, the thing that really stands out to me, I've just watched the Man City treble documentary on Netflix, and with me, there is differences to City and Arsenal in the sense of what I get from Mikel Arteta and Pep is like, Mikel Arteta goes with a young, youthful, exuberant side that want to listen and buy into his project, which is fine.
Impressionable players.
Exactly. And it's worked. I'll be honest, we're challenging. Like,
you
it's
can't deny that. We've got to quarterfinals in the league with one of the youngest squads in the league now. Obviously, they're getting older. They're not the youngest anymore, but yeah.
Right. So it's worked. And they've bought into it. And what he's done, he's been able to beat teams and control games. That was his thing. I want to suffocate teams, control. It has worked. However, when I watch Pep and City and I watch that documentary, I see like the Ruben Diaz's, the Rodris and they are leaders in that dressing room. Not to say we don't have leaders, but the level of leader in that dressing room is different. I believe, I haven't seen the behind the scenes of Arsenal, but the levels of them saying like, you know, they think we're not going to be able to do it again. Right, rise. This is it. This is the opportunity. The way they are controlling that dressing room is different, and that comes with experience.
Sometimes the manager ain't got to speak, and as you know, you've been playing professional football. When the manager cuts, that's where you see what the dressing room's like.
I've been there, and there's differences there. There is differences in that. I've been in dressing rooms like that, and that can be that final push over the line. Like, yeah, you learn from it. You have to. I've mentioned at the start of the video, like you have to learn from experiences, but they've been there and done it regularly, and they know how to captivate and really get you over that line. I don't think we have that yet. And I don't think, because Arteta goes with this plan of young players and impressionable players, buying that into a team is very difficult to do. Buying that player, you want a player that's lived through it and gone through it, and they are leaders in it. We haven't got that yet. So that is, for me, that's another level. Also, I think Pep can. And I think Arteta does do this. He can tell you how a game is going to go out. If you listen to what I say, I will tell you how the game plays out. I think we do have that to an extent. And I've heard Declan Rice and other players say that. Like, he tells us what to do. If we do it, think that outcome happens. I just think we haven't got to this stage and seen it work. So there's still lack of experience in that. Pep has that because he's been to many clubs. many clubs. So
Manage many a player as well. And it's kind of easier to, not saying the players don't, but it's easier to buy into Pep because he's been there, done it.
He's been there, done it. He's like, he can say at Barcelona, when we got to this stage and this happened, and I know if you listen to me, this happens. Arteta, sadly, and
he ain't got the backlog.
He hasn't got the backlog. And I'm not a gospel. This may not be true, but this is what I believe because I've been in change rooms where I've bought into a manager because he said things, and I'm like, or she said things actually, because Sean is my biggest example. She's amazing. She's incredible. She says things, and she was like, listen, exploit this, and we get a goal, and we've won games from that. So because she and it's works. But when you've been with a manager who's been in the game for years and has experience of it and says things and it happens, you fully buy into it. You fully buy into it. And then on top of that, you have players that experience and leaders. That is where it's the extra 1-2% that I don't think we yet have. And that's not on Mikel Arteta. Well, it is on Mikel Arteta a little bit because he's bought players like we mentioned, Havertz, who I'm still not fully bought into, but I can appreciate what
you can be part of the squad. I don't know if you're the difference maker. It's definitely a lot. It's a healthier climate than when you definitely arrived at the club, probably because you're up front. Let me flip that as well, yeah, because even though I agree with you, because we both, you've played professional football, I played Sunday League. Obviously, as much as you buy into a manager and they're charismatic and all of those sort of things, and they tell you how a game plays out, I also believe on the flip side, the best players manage themselves. Now, obviously, you have to stick to a game plan, and positively and negatively, sometimes I think we stick to what Arteta has said or planned too much. And there's a bigger case to be said in that maybe he needs more in-game solutions. But at the same time, as I said, I think players manage themselves. Do you think we have that? Because I do think, not to discredit Arteta or Pep or Wenger or Ferguson, there must be times in your playing experience, definitely in mine, where it's not that you're not listening to the manager, but 4 or 5 of you might say, I know the gaffer's saying this, let's do this, that, and the other. And it might just pattern. Because that's the first thing that went through my head when you mentioned the Ruben Diaz's and things. You will never see it because on a match day, you will never know if these players said this and flipped it and whatnot. But how much could that player factor in turning some games around for you then to flip that and be devil's advocate?
This is a great question, though. I big up the because you know what? Guy. Now my brain's just going like
it's madness.
Let me do the answer. No, we don't have that. Yeah, let me just do the straight answer, and I'm going to break down why we don't have that. We don't have players that are just maybe not even good enough, or to the level of experience to say, nah, I'm not going to do that. Let me just express myself in this, and it works. Firstly, the game's changed that we don't have that anymore, in my opinion. Nowadays, football's not like that. We don't have those superstars that can just let me go and do my thing, express it, beat a man, and it work. I just think nowadays we don't have that in football. It's too systematic. It's too robotic. So that's my first rebuttal. Secondly, Arteta, I believe, has got rid of players that think too much. Right? What the bumper?
Hey, a couple of people I've done streams with that happens, on the iPhones and iMacs and whatnot. It's crazy.
I thought I was just talking facts, so the man, they're celebrating it. All right, cool. I respect that, though. Love, big up the balloons and that.
Big up Steve Jobs, whoever's listening, man.
Whatever's going on there. All right, cool. So I'm not going to put my second. I don't want to happen again. That's mad. But yeah. So number 2 is that. Where did I just go with that? So number 2. So I said first is the game's changed. It doesn't work. 2, yeah, he's got rid of players. Arteta that kind of, I think, go against what he thinks is the right way to play, like the big personality, shall we say. And Aubameyang said that in that interview when he was doing, it was the watch brand. He said, like, he just wants people to he wants young players to just listen to him and do what he wants. And maybe that is personalities away because from the pitch, but also I think that's personalities on the pitch that just want to do their own stuff. So I think Pepe wasn't the prime example of that as well. I think Pepe didn't really do the things that Arteta wanted or couldn't. Yeah, he didn't want to play in the system. He wanted to be more a free roam player, which I understand. So he's got rid of that. So we don't have that. Secondly, and also like you just said there, I just think when you have a manager of Mikel Arteta's capabilities, in the sense of he's like Pep that can dictate how a game will play out if you listen to what is being said. So if there was a player that was kind of like, I'm going to do my own thing, I think he'll be going mad by saying, yo, listen, when we do this, it works. Here's my track record. We've beaten teams. We beat Burnley, the Sheffields, the West Hams. We slapped them because you're doing what we've practiced every day in training. Don't go and do your own thing.
Don't flip the script.
Unless you're doing your own thing and it pulls off.
Then I might have to shut up and say, all right, don't do it again, but cool. You scored from 35 yards. It's calm.
Right. Yeah, if you have a track record of that, which by the way, nowadays is very rare. I see how the game goes. I go to football clubs. It's very rare that you have a player that's just an anomaly that can just every
Definitely
time he does
coached
his
out of
own
the game
thing.
now, because as you said, it's a system thing.
Exactly. So I just think the straight answer was no. I think those are kind of the reasons why. And it's difficult to do that because I think back in the day when I was playing, it was like, cool. When we're especially in academy, it was build up. We played this is how we play. When you get the ball, there will be two players, two options here. Until you get past the halfway line and you get into the final third,
You can do your thing.
do your own thing. But even now
it's all
I think
cool.
it's not. I don't think you get that final third.
You got overlaps and underlaps, and I've got a pass here and pass there. That's why sometimes I give players generally in football a bit of grace because, you know, Saka, for example, you know, I might think you're playing poor and things, but I always think, and I think many fans don't deep this because they've never been in that scenario. How much is he playing poor off his own back, or is it because he has to listen to the gaffer, or you're not playing? Like it's a difficult one. Even someone like Zinchenko, which evidently has issues, like he obviously has issues. But if the manager is telling you to do that for better or worse, and if the manager is saying that's cool, and even if you play poor, how much can we really blame them? Now, as you know, we're not flies on the wall at London Coley or the dressing room, so we can only comment on what we see. But it's a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing.
Yeah, it's tough. That's the thing. And apologies, I don't have the answer to that because
exactly
like you said, we're not in the training ground. We're not knowing how intense Mikel is on making sure you do what you're told on the pitch. It's difficult. I'll go back to that City documentary because it's one of the most recent things I've watched. And I just think I remember Haaland at halftime, not screaming at Jack Grealish, but saying like, play the ball to me. When you get to that, basically the final third section, just give me the ball then. Give me it then. And I saw him have a little bit of a rebuttal. And I'm like, Jack, have a bit of a rebuttal to it. And I'm like, is that because, you know, the option's not clear enough? Or is it because Pep's just said, listen, I can't give it to you there because he wants me to give it to Bernardo, or I have to give it inside. Like, and if that's the case, listen, we're not City, but I'm looking at little things that I know I can relate to our club. So I just don't know. I don't know. I wish I had the answer to that. But it does seem like when we get into the final third, it's not the same as what it used to be back in the day, where it's you have the freedom to do what you want, go and put the ball in the back of the net. It does feel like, and I've seen Arsenal play it down, you know, get into the final third on the wing, Ben White overlapping, Saka either having to play it to him so he cuts it across the box, or him cut inside and shoot.
And have an effort,
But it still seems very coached. It doesn't seem like, you know, I don't see Saka pushing it down the line and running past his man. Granted, you don't see much of that this season anyway. I see Doku do it sometimes. I have seen other players. I've seen other players from other clubs do it. That's a lie.
Saka's a marked man now. Like, it's no excuse, but it's 3-4 men. Because I was watching a video earlier of Saka, like when he kind of first came through. Do you remember when we had that? Not when he first came through, but do you remember when we had that white kit with kind of like the blood stains and that?
Yeah.
Them times there, I was watching the highlights, and obviously the dynamics are different. It's a different time.
I've seen Saka run past.
This is it when he's running past, man, and there's bare space, and he's looking like a traditional winger. As you know, it's all inside forwards now. So is it because of Arteta taking it to the next level to coach him? Is it because he's a marked man? And at the same time, though, I do think at the end of the day, whatever Arteta is demanding of him or telling him to do is working because you're scoring goals. I know at times, you know, we're having questions, but you're scoring goals. So it's a bit of a techie one. And I do think where Arteta is concerned, as much as I think it's disrespectful to say he's like Pep, because I think he's very different. I think one thing that goes against him is, you know, as much as he's obviously taking things from La Masia and Pep and things, Arteta spent a good period of his footballing career in England. So he's probably learned a lot from David Moyes. So there's probably certain elements there. And I do think that kind of thing he could learn from Wenger, because I feel Arteta has shown me, you know, I can't say he can't coach in the final third because we're doing all right generally, but defensive structure, midfield structure, you know, defending from the front, building out from the back. I do want to see him learn from Wenger in, like, once you get to the final third, just let these players do a bit of magic, like Odegaard, let him roam, Saka, let him do his thing. Martinelli, we spoke about it, let him, you know, he's like, him and Jesus for me are like free spirits, you know, like uncage the beast, is sort of thing. So it's an interesting one, man.
It is. That's the thing. Like, it's a conversation where it sparks interest, because what do you do there? Like, it can't be overcoached. Those Brazilian players, and I know Saka's not Brazilian, my lights cut out. I know Saka's not Brazilian, but those Brazilian players, Jesus and Martinelli, like, they need to have freedom, in my opinion. Like I said, I think we need difference in the sense of playing the ball over the top. Like, play it over the top a few times. Play it.
The man are fast as well. Getting in a foot race with them is peak.
Put it in behind, let them run it, let them run at players.
I get high lines 9 times out of 10 as well in the game.
Exactly. And I get annoyed where you said, Saka is all inverted forwards now. But when we was at Bayern, just a few days ago, there was times where me and Robbie and Lee were all sat together and I say, like, look, we talk about doubling up, but he's 1v1 here. The team have played the ball in so many different patches and switched to play with enough speed that they've left Saka 1v1 and he doesn't still run at his man. He'll dribble up to him and then come inside. It's like, you have the space. Maybe I may not understand football to the level of these coaches, and that's fair to say, but there's times where he's 1v1, the space is you push it round him or you get round him, but instead he wants to come inside where you're running into the bodies because all the team are coming this way and you're running back inside. But
you're running into traffic.
Exactly, the space is outside, but
so like playing it safe at the expense of maybe taking it risky. Now, of course, you need balance with that because, as you mentioned with Doku, I'm sure there's many times Pep's been frustrated by him because he's ran into blind alleys. But I do want to see us be a bit risk averse. As you know, the best players are a bit calculated with it, but they take risks, and I think even Odegaard's got that in his locker. I think it's very well structured, but to go to that next level, we need to find that balance because arguably with Arteta, there could be times and maybe times where you've coached the game plan and you said all the eventualities, but things can happen, and maybe an individual brilliance that we've seen at this moment has got him out of jail. In the same way he's probably saved players, they could save him across the season. It's a mad one, really.
I feel like this season though he's been able to buy the players have bought into him more because I feel 100%. Like last season when we I don't know, we got caught out and we went into draws, the West Ham draws, the Liverpool draws and stuff like that. I felt like we were shocked when we were conceding and stuff. I think at times, like when things fell apart a little bit for Arsenal last season, it was because maybe Arteta set a game plan and it's like a team scored an early goal. We saw it where we're like Bournemouth, for example, they'll score an early goal and we're like panicking and we're trying to scrape back to it. I think that has messed up our game plan at times. I think this season he's got a lot of the things he said spot on, and the reason why I say that is because he's emphasized he wants control of games and he's had that. So I feel like he said things this season where we haven't seen us concede early or teams shock us at all. I actually feel like most of the time I've gone into games and I've been able to predict games because quite evidently and quite easily.
You know what you're going to get from the gaffer.
I know what I'm getting. I think last season I know we was on top for most of the season, but I didn't know what we was going to get in a sense. I didn't know if it was going to.
It was a positive surprise 9 times out of 10 when we played.
Right. So I think this season it's very much more predictable, and I feel like the players are bought into it, and it's allowed us to be. We understand what we're going to get from Arsenal. So that allows you to buy in as a player more into what he's saying. I just feel like what you said there, we need to be a bit more unpredictable coming into either this period because it's the latter stages of the season where teams are starting to they've got the backlog of what happened this season. They know how to play up against Arsenal. So I feel like I need Arteta to understand this and realize at this stage of the season, I need to figure out what's different here, how we can be different. Whether that is, again, that might also be players as well becoming back available and using them, or the squad not being good enough and going back in the summer and having different options at this stage of the season. But we haven't got that this season. So now I need you to go into your bag of knowledge and find solutions,
internal solutions, as he said.
And that's what makes you the elite. Like right now, it is Pep, Klopp, and you're in that conversation, not to their level, but you're that next manager. So
you're like the third horse.
Right. So to get over the line, this is where I need you to earn your money. And it's easier said than done, of course, but that's why you're manager of Arsenal Football Club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. So
that's why you got the job off the back of, respectfully, no real managerial experience, coaching, all of that stuff. Right. Great. But yeah.
Right. And if I'm honest, I thought we had that. I thought we had that difference in this stage by putting Havertz up top and it did work. I think Havertz was the anomaly that confused a lot of teams, but now I'm seeing
patch is over.
Yeah, now I'm starting to see like teams are starting to work us out, and this may be premature because we've only we lost one game this whole year in the league, Aston Villa, and we lost to Bayern and the Champions League.
Three poor results, and it's all doom and gloom now. Such is life of a big club.
So it may be premature because we might go on to Wolves tomorrow and smash them. So it might be premature, and we might kick on and start beating teams for the rest of our run. But if it capitulates, I'm then going to look at the manager and say, one, we've seen a track record of this, which I know fans are going to go with that and go the complete opposite way and say, we need to get you out. But I will say, I can't ignore that. So I'll say, brother, you need to learn at this stage that we need to find something different. City go on runs in this period. They
turn into beast mode. They kind of mess about at the start of the season and then
they go into beast mode.
So we're the opposite.
Right. So that's where I need you to to get into your bag and figure out what is going wrong there and correct it. And if you do that, then everyone's happy and we're lifting something at the end of the season. So that's it. But I think that's a fair want from a fan of Arsenal football. That's a fair want and need from our manager, because everything's been so superb up until it gets to this stage. So yeah, man.
I don't think I can disagree with that, but it ties into what another person has asked me. A couple more questions for you, in the sense of, if the season, and you hear this all the time, if the season ends trophyless, is it a failure then? And how much longer do you give Arteta? I know you kind of touched on that, because you said, you give him a bit longer, but we manage expectations as well.
Yeah, it's always context for these questions. It's always context of how
people
does
hate that, but you have to.
Well, it is how the season plays out, how we lose it, how we capitulate,
how we go off to do better things. You never know. We don't know at this moment in time.
And that is the politician answer, but that's the truth. But if you want me to give you the one that, your standards are low answer, yeah, give him more time if we end up with nothing. Is it a failure? Yes. It's not. If you're not won something,
it's a missed opportunity. There's nothing in history that etches our name to say we've had a good season, and that goes for the last 2 years, really.
Exactly. Success is deemed by winning something, in my opinion. That's what success.
The winners
is.
Win, the losers explain. Like that's how it goes, bro.
Exactly, and that's where my standards are set. So it is a failure. However, that doesn't make me go and say get rid of our manager, because there's small wins, not success. There's small wins in what we've seen this season, and that is whether it's competing the quarterfinals of the Champions League, the style of play, being able to be up there, not
the
just
general collective and individual improvements of the players.
Exactly, not just competing with a City, competing with two teams, and that's Liverpool and City, and there's loads of other little wins that I could just reel off for days. But that's why I'm saying, yeah, you give him more time, but I can't give you unfortunately, I can't give you the exact.
You ain't got a crystal ball, bro.
Well, exactly. I don't know what's going to happen next season, but I do. You have to say at the end of the next season or midway through next season, then I can give you, no, we need to look at a new manager. Let's get a new manager, or even maybe the start of next season if it starts really bad, where there's no chance of us being able to compete. But yeah, those are the answers to that question. Yes, it's a failure if we don't pick up anything this season. But I would give Mikel Arteta more time because of what he's done for Arsenal Football Club.
I'm with you, bro, in the sense of, I can only go off what's presented to me. I'm not saying Mikel Arteta is the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm with him to the end, and you can just have a free hit, because we've got to remember, as great as you are, this is a twofold job, really. You're here because we believe you can, and respectfully to Arteta and what he's doing, you're in a privileged position. You got this job of basically no experience, really. It's like me not knowing what YouTube is, and then Robbie just gives me AFTV. It doesn't make sense like that, really. So you've got a guy in a pattern it, really. So I don't just want to ride with him till the wheels fall off. I believe in critiquing and praising where we go along. The conversation could shift, if you can't get us over the line, where do we go from here? And I do think a lot of us people who lean towards Arteta, we tend to say, oh, what manager we get in? I don't know, but it's not our job. They have to find solutions. If it goes wrong, we see where we're going. For me, I believe in the manager, but it is getting towards delivering trophies. And if not trophies, he does strike me as someone that learns from his mistakes. But kind of going back to what we said, I want you to learn from your mistakes, especially around squad depth. I think one negative trait that he has from Wenger is I think he believes in too many players at times. Even the players that are good, I think he has a bit too much faith. Like with Saka, to think that he'll be doing the business from now to the end of the season is very naive. I like Jorginho and what he does, but he's not a 38-game man. So when Jorginho and Partey's injuries are there, the midfield is a bit crazy. And we have a lack of options, really. We have kept players fit generally and been ticking over, but these are the things I want him to learn from.
Yeah.
So go on, bro.
No, you've gone to those players, and I go to more the squad players. He gave Eddie Nketiah a new contract.
The squad players as well.
Yeah, that's when you say about believing in players too much. That is those are the players. Granted, I was wrong about this one. Granted, Xhaka, he not begged him to stay, but he's the one that convinced him to stay. Made in the right decision, but that could have went left. That could have been a wrong decision. He like I said, the new contract to Eddie Nketiah, new contract to Reece Nelson, but it doesn't seem like he trusts these players anymore.
Fabio Vieira, 30 million, we don't see him.
This is what I'm saying. So let's not get it twisted. Obviously, he makes mistakes, and I think that over believing in certain players is a downfall sometimes in Mikel Arteta. So I have to highlight that as well, and I do agree with you there. I was like staring deeply because before when he was speaking, because I was looking at like the player arc of Saka and what he's done. I'm trying to relate it to Mikel Arteta and what he's done for Arsenal and how much everyone loves Saka. It's been so good. He's been so good for Arsenal. Won an FA Cup with us, cool, but like so is Mikel Arteta. And I was looking at the player arc compared to the manager arc. Saka's bad at the moment. I'll be real. For me, he's playing bad, and I'm on him. So I'm trying to relate that to Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta might be going into the run where things turn bad, but I'm not saying, because Saka's really bad right now, but I'm not saying get rid of Bukayo Saka. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's bad and I'm questioning him. I'm not saying get rid of him. And I'm
All
sure
this temporary class is perm, as they say, bro.
Exactly. So I'm saying that with Mikel Arteta, like he might be going through. Listen, it still might be premature because again, we might go on and win all the rest of our games, but he's going through that bad phase again. But I'm not saying get rid of Mikel Arteta. I am questioning him and I'm putting pressure on him, and I will do. But I'm not saying get rid of him. So I know that is a massive, it's a wide, scale of player and manager and trying to link it together. But that is, I'm trying to see if there's an alignment there. I'm not saying get rid of these people, but we have to question things, and rightly so. But yeah, I'm grateful for what they've done and what they're doing, but I'm not saying get rid of them.
No, I think you're bang on the money. In the same way, I always say we have to approach things with balance. When we was winning and people were saying we only fear Real Madrid and we're blowing hot smoke up these players and manager, in the same way when things are going left, because right now, the last 3 games, we've conceded some poor goals. We've had 3 good goal scoring moments. We haven't done that. We haven't won the midfield battle. As you know, you look at Pep Guardiola, Arteta, Wenger, whatever manager you thought of, or anybody listening, they've all got different ways of playing and whatever. But football's a simple game. You have to keep balls out your net, have to put balls in the back of the opponents, and you have to win your midfield battles. We haven't necessarily done any of that. And for me, the last 2 games with Aston Villa and the Bayern Munich second legs, it's like we've run out of steam. We've got a bit complacent. I don't know what's being said at half time, but we all have to share these W's and L's. And for better or worse, the team is a reflection of the manager, where there's young promise, but now it's about realizing that potential. Because, as much as I love the last 2 years, you could force it and say 3 years where there was a bit of optimism when we lost out for top 4. As you know, it's never just like that. There's been bumps and bruises on the road. They'll be like that. And for me, I might be being a bit impatient, bro, but I think we're at that stage now where we've got a good team. We've got a good, solid team. We're either going to push on now and really right these wrongs, or naturally you regress. You don't really stand still. So that's something we have to arrest. Obviously, as we kind of close up this live stream, I've got to ask you, there's 6 games left. What are you saying for the Prem then, man? Like, it's in the balance. It is in our hands. It's out of our hands. We've got Spurs, United, Wolves on the weekend, Chelsea at home. A lot of teams and fans that would love to spoil our day. But it's one competition now. And to be fair, Liverpool out of Europe, City are out of Europe. So, this is all everyone's got to play for, essentially, now, man.
I will say just quickly as well, we have to win something next season.
No, we do.
I'm not normally on that sort of bandwagon, but
we do, man. We keep gassing our team and we ain't got nothing to show for it, bro.
There's no way we can't lift a trophy next season. I think
that's why I'm vexed about the FA Cup since Arteta's won it, because we've been a bit fugazi in it. We have, in fact, we've been crapping it. Let's be real. Gone out on the joke thing.
Yeah, so I think there's pressure in for that, and I'm with that. I'll put pressure on him as well for that. But we have to win something next season. In regards to the Premier League, I'm an optimistic fan. I'd love to believe, but what I actually think happening, Aston Villa was the biggest blow. I actually thought the only team that we would drop points.
We knew what time it was, Emre, man. We knew what time it was. We've seen the script bare times, bro. Since we sacked him, he's on us. Like
word. And now he's the only manager in Europe from the UK as well, which is crazy. I just think that for me, the only fixture I was worried about was Spurs away, the North London derby. But now I actually feel like
Old Trafford scares me, bro. I'm not gonna cap, man. Regardless of their form, we F around over there.
I know. I just think we've got the pet. Well, it depends how much these 2 losses have affected us. But if I see the same Arsenal of what I saw before, I just think we go there and roll them over. I said it. I've been getting caned for it because everyone's like, Old Trafford's different. But I just have so much faith in this team. I think they're so bad. I think we can just dominate them. But for me, I think City will drop points, but so will we.
Sorry, quickly.
Sorry,
but
I want to do the optimistic thing and have belief, but I think City will drop points in their run. Maybe they get a draw or not, but I just don't think, for some reason, I think so will we. So I don't think we'll get it over the line. I think it'll be very tight. Listen, that may not happen. City may drop points and we may go on and do it. I just think maybe that's the mood I'm in now because I've just witnessed 2 losses from Arsenal.
Yeah, man, we're going to be a bit flat. Like our team, to be fair, we're going to be a bit flat. It's a results-driven business. Like, while, 3 negative results don't make you a bad team or whatever, it does change the sentiment. And I know a lot of people, including myself, will say, calm down a bit. It's our first loss in the Premier League of 2024. Yeah. It's never a good time to lose, but it's come at the wrong time where you're playing 2 juggernauts in Liverpool and City, and one where, for me, as going back to what I said, I think we shoot ourselves in the foot too much this season. I know you can't win them all. Fulham away is the only game I will really slap these players because we were terrible in that. I think we shot ourselves in the foot against Spurs, against Chelsea, against West Ham, against Villa, against Newcastle, twice against Fulham, really, if you include the home game. And I'm definitely missing a Villa recently, and I'm definitely missing out another game. But that's what I mean in that I feel, not to say we're the best, but we shoot ourselves in the foot. I don't think we've been quote unquote outplayed this season, even by Munich. We've just shot ourselves in the foot, and certain naiveties have reared their head. Even games we've won, you look at Brentford twice, you look at Luton, and I know these things happen. You can't just roll over teams, but unfortunately, you have to near enough be perfect in the present day to pip City. It's unfortunate, but this is the beast and the dynamics we're in, cuz.
It's the best league in the world, most competitive league
This
in the
is
world,
it.
the Premier League. So that's the reason why. But yeah, it's a shame I can't come out full chest and say we're going to win the league. I can come out and say we can win the league. But again, I am hurting from the past 2 results, and don't get it twisted. Tomorrow evening, I could be a completely different brother and say, nah, we could do it, you know. So that's how I am.
I hope that's the case.
May not love that, but that's how I am.
These men need to react, bro.
Yeah,
it needs
man.
to happen tomorrow.
Exactly. So I can be like, we can do this, or I could be coming tomorrow evening and say it's done, man. But that's the beauty. That's the beauty of football. That's what it's about. That's what
beauty of sport, really.
That's what we go every week for, bro. Like, this is what makes it so entertaining. So it is a shame, but I have a little bit of belief. I always said from the beginning, before the season started, actually, I said City will win the league this season. I think I put us in second as well. So I'm not coming away from that at the moment. However, I hope we, the next couple of games we do win, and the belief just starts to come back, and we just enjoy it. Listen, if we win all our games to the end of the season, man, them that are questioning Mikel Arteta, and we don't win the league, by the way, saying we need a new manager. I just think that'll piss me off. It's ridiculous. He's done all he can,
especially if there's no Pep Guardiola or someone of that ilk. Like big up Conte and that, but I find them shouts redundant. No disrespect to them.
Exactly, and people always ask me, what did you want this season, Champions League or the Premier League? I want the Premier League because this is the season to do it. The Klopp's last season, Pep with the charges are coming, I'm assuming, at some stage. Like,
hopefully
if we did it this season, it would be more remarkable. It would be so amazing, and I'll be so shameless. So like this, it means more to me to win it this season because of those factors. But again, if we don't do it this season, what we've seen of Arteta's track record with Klopp gone, who then Liverpool have to go into a small little rebuild, and then if City do get those charges, things might change over there. I think we'll be in prime position to do it. So
we need to capitalize on these things.
Yeah, man. So just stick by the manager, stick by it, and yeah, man. I see good things for Arsenal, and hopefully we can get it over the line this season because boy, we just deserve it, man.
Us fans deserve it. I know a lot of us Arsenal fans can be unbearable, like every fan base. I find it a bit weird, but that fans of other clubs behave like it's just Arsenal fans that sing from the rooftops and waffle and whatnot. But this is football. You're meant to be have highs and lows and all of these things. So who knows, man? It's been a long season. It's drawing to a close. We've got 6 cup finals to be cliche. Let's get over the line. My last question for you then, with Wolves away, give me a score prediction. You know what? I'm gonna go for a nail-biting 2-1 to us.
A nail-biting 2-1.
Nail-biting, bro.
Someone just messaged me my score prediction actually before I left for AFTV. I said 3-1, but I've said 3-1, but I'm thinking the team could show a reaction and just.
They need to.
And I think our team could just bounce back and go back to that Arsenal that we've been seeing that's battered teams. But then I've just spoke about how teams have studied us now. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with 3-1. I was either gonna go 3-1 or 3-0.
I'll have the 3-0 shouts. Talk that into existence, bro. Yeah, man. Clean sheet would be nice.
I just think we bounce. That's if we bounce back and show a reaction. And
these losses always come in bunches, man.
Yeah, man. I just think we go ferocious. We can go ferocious. So I'm gonna go. Forget it. Why not? I'll change on here. 3-0 Arsenal, man.
Let's go with that optimism, man. Cecil, this has been a lovely hour and 8 minutes, man. I can't imagine people don't know where to find you. First things first, big up you for tuning in and locking in again, people. I gave you what you wanted. Let us know where we can find you beyond the obvious, man, because I can't imagine people don't know. I always do this section. I always say, don't come and find me, bro. I'm good. But no, big up. Listen, Cecil _JEE spells G. That's it, man. That's on all platforms, but follow Deluded, man. Like and subscribe. Appreciate that.
It's a lovely community. If they've asked me back, I appreciate you all. And yeah, man, don't worry about finding me. Stay here, or if you're new here, subscribe to this channel. Big up Deluded every time, man.
Come on, my guy, man. Obviously, the next time we do this, hopefully we're still in optimistic thoughts kind of thing. I always get onto you, man. You need to. I know you've got your own YouTube channel, but you stop neglecting it, man. Stop neglecting. I know you're busy and you're here, there, and everywhere, but just a little 10 minutes. Thoughts.
I know. I need to. Yeah. I just don't think. I don't know. I always feel like people don't won't care about my opinion.
Nah,
first.
don't downplay yourself, man. Nah, man, that's an idiot thing.
I know. I always think that, and also just like I don't know. I do so much. For other people, and always say you got to have your own brand. But yeah, man, I appreciate.
Yeah, man, little 10 minutes. You got to set up little 5-10 minutes. Your thoughts, boom. Even when you're traveling, or like you said, you're driving back from Frankfurt. Quick little thoughts up when you're in the car. Boom, it's done, bro. We need that, man. Really, it's a shame, bro.
Yeah, man.
But all the great work you do.
I appreciate that. And potentially, man. Hopefully, we'll see. It's no. It's about others for me, like the fans and all other things I get to do. But you're right. I should sometimes look at myself and push forward in that. But you know what? We'll see. Maybe for the future.
Come on, Cecil, man.
Thank you. Man.
Come on, people. We've discussed everything, man. We've discussed the manager, players, this, that, and the third. Maybe some talking points I'm even forgetting. I'm sure a lot of you agree with us, disagree with us, think we're talking nonsense, think we're talking facts. Let us know your thoughts. Football would be boring if we all thought the same way. So like, comment, subscribe, follow Cecil on his socials. Everything's in the descriptions. Let us know your thoughts. Come on, you Gunners, innit, Cecil? One love for tuning in. Let me let the man get out of here. Peace. Safe. Always